And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Laugh podcast. This is Live, Laugh, Laugh podcast episode number 113 as we continue with the fourth season, I should say, of this. As you can see, Gary's not here. I'm assuming he's just asleep. But I'm still in the thing, just in case he decides to join, which he can still do. So he may pop in, he may not, we don't know. But right now, you're just going to get me. We got a lot to talk about over the course of the weekend. Throwback weekend at Darlington is in the books. We got a lot of stuff to go over from the Xfinity race as well as the Cup race. Some silly season news as well to go over. And then, of course, at the end, we'll preview this weekend's action at Bristol. Another short track race coming up. But first, we're going to talk about Darlington. So it was just Xfinity and Cup this weekend. I got to say, right out the bat, the Xfinity paint schemes for the throwbacks were so much better than the Cup ones. Overall. At least I thought. I thought they were a lot more vibrant. I thought I thought a lot of teams really went all in on them, like sponsors too. Whereas in Cup, I think a few of them were definitely cheaped out. Chase Elliott. And so, I don't know. Maybe it's just because Xfinity, I guess it's still very much sponsor driven in Xfinity. But there, it didn't necessarily feel like they were as constrained because they definitely went at it more, which I liked. So good job, Xfinity Series, on that front at least. But as far as the race goes, Jack Wright, Josh Williams got together early. Saw some damage for both of those. Wright was out of the race. Williams lost some sheet metal, but did continue. Taylor Gray spun after a clean second stage for the Xfinity Series, at least mostly clean. It's Darlington, so of course you're gonna get the Darlington stripes. So there's a lot of guys getting in the wall and whatnot. But as far as a caution, Taylor Gray spun in stage 3. So did Garrett Smithley, so did Anthony Alfredo. And Alfredo spun around collecting Leland Honeyman, Josh Williams, and a bunch of others. It was the big one. Big one struck at Darlington. Doesn't always happen, but it happened here. Like I said, a lot of hits to the wall that caused a lot of tire rub, caused a lot of other issues. Also some crazy restarts, especially down the stretch, with the narrow racing lanes that Darlington has. It's inevitable that things are going to get a little crazy on the restarts, especially the later in the race that you go. But it would be Brandon Jones outlasting a lot of good mix of Cup guys. I believe it was William Byron in the Hendrick car this weekend in the Xfinity Series race. Could be wrong, but in some other outlastings as well, as Brandon Jones would take a late lead and snag his first Xfinity Series win in feels like a long time. You'd think he'd win a lot more considering how much sponsorship and how much he's talked about, but he's had some terrible luck. But the luck went his way this weekend, and it was really cool to see that. So, good job for Brandon Jones. And then in the Cup race, now I will say I did not get to watch either the Xfinity or the Cup race because I was working and had other things to do. So, but I came in all happy and lovely and everything was great, and then it wasn't. I decided, because I didn't think Hamlin was going to go back to back. I didn't want to pick Byron again, so I decided to go Kyle Larson to win. So the fucker wrecks on lap fucking 4. What the fuck? It's also my favorite throwback scheme in Cup, and probably my favorite throwback scheme between both series this weekend. And he wrecks on the 4th fucking lap. Are you serious? You serious? That pissed me off. Carson Hocevar spun as well. Um, After a pretty dumb move. Carson Hocevar moment for sure. Brad Keselowski spun after a flat tire. Josh Berry wrecked in the third stage. Pretty hard hit to the inside wall, but he was thankfully okay. But nothing else too crazy until, for the most part, during the race. The race was very much dominated by William Byron. He led flag to flag for the first two stages and to start the third stage. And really did not relinquish the lead until they finally had to make green flag pit stops, which happened midway through the third stage. And once he lost the lead and was started to get back in traffic, his car started to fall off, and he was able to still hold steady in like the top 5, top 10 range, but did not have what it took to get the win, which they talked about in the broadcast, and is very indicative of Darlington. Really, I didn't notice this until really this weekend. You could dominate Darlington, but it's honestly probably better to save your car till the end. As long as you're still in the lead lap and still like somewhat close to the front, within the last like 50 laps, you can make a run at the win. Because, Byron led a ton of laps in this race, an absolute ton, and didn't have a whole lot to show for it at the end. But he did get a lot of stage points, so I guess he did have a little something to show for it, but not what he probably wanted. The race looked like it was going to come down to Ryan Blaney and Tyler Reddick. Looked like it was really going to come down to Ryan Blaney because he passed Reddick late. Reddick was on old tires, and Blaney was starting to go through. And they had a big distance between the rest of the field, so it looked like it was going to come down between those two. Until Kyle Larson spun again. Said, fuck you. And spin. Hit the wall again. Don't even know why he came back out on the track. Don't even know why. That would allow the field to make one more round of pit stops, where Denny Hamlin would make the race-winning pit stop and would then pull away on the ensuing restart to win it in overtime for a second straight win. So really, I think I'm done playing NASCAR Fantasy because this is just painful. I know that if I had picked Hamlin, that caution would have not come out. I know that if I had picked Byron, he would have wrecked early. I know that if I had not picked Larson, he probably would have won the race. It's literally voodoo magic, and I am so fucking pissed about it. It is so annoying that every week something bad happens. At least by this point last year we had a win. We don't even have a win yet. I don't even think we have much I only think we have one top 10. And that was Shane Van Gisbergen, who should have won the race, but he prioritized pit strategy. Anyway, that was Darlington. So, decent racing all throughout. People are not happy with the finish. There's a lot of conspiracy going around that Larson spun intentionally to screw over Blaney. But I don't think that's true. Why would Larson do that when he's, one, good friends with Blaney? Two, why would he give the win to Hamlin, his arch nemesis on the track? Doesn't make much sense to me. But yeah, good racing, decent paint schemes as well. Always a good time at the Throwback weekend. But that was Darlington, so we'll put that in the books. Do have some silly season news to go over as well. Connor Zilic is going to be back in the 87 car for the Cup Series at the Coke 600. This will be his second Cup Series start. Had a decent run in his first start, if you remember, at Coda until he wrecked late in the race. So he's going to be looking for a hopefully better performance here. So it should be exciting to see that Red Bull number 87 back on the track on Memorial Day weekend. NASCAR was also affected by a Medusa ransomware attack recently. We talked about this before. I think it was the NBA that was involved. Their social medias were hacked. This is a little bit more serious because somebody just took over like a ton of data and is threatening to release a lot of shit that NASCAR doesn't want released unless they pay like $4 million, which is crazy. I don't know what type of data they have. I don't know what will happen from it. I'm assuming NASCAR will just pay the money, or they'll get the guy. They'll probably pay the money and then get the guy and then get the money back from the guy after, is my assumption, but I don't know. So, but it's pretty wild that like a big corporation like NASCAR was affected by something like this. Usually I only see this happen like from unsuspecting people, you know, that live alone, whatnot. But for a whole company, whole sport like NASCAR to be involved in something like this is pretty insane. I wish I had more happy news to talk about, but it's really only sad news now, as there were 3 deaths this week. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot. Excuse me if I mispronounced this guy's name. Shigeki Hattori. He got into a car accident and was killed at age 61 earlier this week. His significance to NASCAR: he was the owner of Hattori Racing Enterprises, which was both a Truck Series team and an Xfinity Series team, but had the most success in the Truck Series, winning the 2018 championship with Brett Moffitt, actually. Before that, he was also a driver in both the IndyCar and the Truck Series. So, a very, very sad death there. Rest in peace. Al Pierce, who was a NASCAR reporter for Auto Week, also passed away this week at 82, while still covering the sport, too. It really sucks. And then also, on the same day, John Edwards, the Hendrick Motorsports Communications Director, passed away at 53. So that is, yeah, that's very sad. Very, very sad. Rest in peace to all 3 of those people. You will definitely be missed, but never forgotten. Oh, I do have one more piece of news. Catherine Legg, as announced, is now planning on doing some more Xfinity races this season. Remember, she made her Cup Series debut, also NASCAR debut at Phoenix. She's going to be doing some Xfinity races this season. Has also confirmed she will not be doing the Indy 500. So, there you go. Rockingham and Charlotte were the big tracks that were announced. That there will be more, but she confirmed that she will be doing Rockingham and Charlotte for sure. So very, very cool there. And hopefully her results are just a little bit better than they were at Phoenix. That's all the news I had. Obviously, Gary's still not here, so I can't ask him if he has any news or not. But that's all the news that I had. So, There we go. But now we move on to Bristol. Another short track race. I don't know what the fuck I just clicked. Anyway, the truck race. Truck, Xfinity, and Cup are all racing this. Get the fuck out of here! Truck, Xfinity, and Cup are racing this weekend. So that should be fun. Obviously, the last time we were at Bristol in the spring was that really, really crazy tire wear race where there was just literally rubber caked all on the high line of the track, and tires were failing within like 15 laps. Now, we've returned to Bristol since that fiasco, and it wasn't as bad. But that was also a night race. It was warmer, so maybe that's why it wasn't as bad. We'll see how it works this time around. But otherwise, Bristol. High banks, high speeds, tight quartered action is really what to expect here. And it'll be interesting to see how things work out and if they can just have no fiascos, please. No fiascos. That would be nice. But since again Gary's not here, I'll just run through my predictions right now. For the truck race, which is happening tonight in a mere only 4 hours from now, a little over 4 hours from now. I'm going to pick Daniel Hemrick to go back-to-back. He won Martinsville, which was the last truck race. It was also a short track. So I'm going to pick him to go back-to-back, actually. I think he will do that. The Xfinity Series, I'm going to pick... I don't know who to pick, honestly. I'll pick Sheldon Creed. Why not? Pick him. And then the Cup race. Obviously no chips this weekend. So I get to pick whoever I please. And I'm going to pick... Because fuck everything, I'm picking Denny Hamlin to win 3 in a row. It already happened with Gibbs, Christopher Bell. And you know what? My gut says no, but my gut's been wrong all season. So I'm going to fucking choose Denny Hamlin to win. Fuck it. Why not? He also won the spring race at Bristol last year, which was one of our 2 wins in fantasy. And really the only one that mattered. So, maybe he can do it again? Who knows? But that's it, guys. That's it for this episode of the Live, Laugh, Left podcast. Garry should be back next week. Don't worry about that. But in the future, if you want to be a guest on this, let us know in the thingamaboober, whatever. Till next time, though, guys, stay tuned for much more amazing content. Until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.